if you've just suggested that you are one of the local councillors, do you feel that you've lived up to that responsibility?
Well, basically, every time we see rubbish, we have to report it to Birmingham City Council. And now it's unfortunately we have a coalition, Lib Dems and Tories. Now, if they're not going to send out their workforce to pick up this area, if they're going to just not give respect to this area and give respect to areas like Hall Green, Solihull, Small Eve, people, you go down those streets, they're really nice and clean.
So how do you think you can make a difference?
Well, basically, these resident associations that have been set up now, working with them, making sure there's a lot of noise made, and hopefully they will listen, because Residents Association is the power for any councillor.
Is environment your number one priority, or are there other issues that you need to contend with too?
Well, antisocial behaviour, environment, and we need youth services as well. We're back in the area, because at the moment youth services has had a cutback and we have nothing at the moment for our young people, so we need our young people to burn off some energy somewhere.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Sorry, do you want to respond?
On the youth services point, yeah.
Yes, go on. We have the candidate for Conservatives.
Yes, yeah.
And she's going to respond to Councillor Ishaq's comments.
Yeah, one thing he mentioned...
Candidate Ishaq, stand correct.
One of the things he mentioned was youth services, and that's something that's very close to my heart because I have a background in youth issues and I used to be a member of the Youth Parliament, so that's something that's really, really close to my heart. And I met a youth group yesterday in Sparkbrook, and it's like a social enterprise. It's only starting. It's a new project. It's on Stratford Road, next to the Opus.
Okay, and their objectives are?
And they said that they had approached the ward, and the ward had refused to give them any funding and had blamed it on the council, even though he knows that the ward does have some funding and could potentially allocate funds.
Okay, so this is about moving forward now.
Instead of looking back. Let's talk about moving forward. Absolutely, it's about moving forward. And what they wanted, though, was just some support, and they didn't want to play the blame game. And they thought that a lot of the problems we have in Sparkbrook is because our young people are not engaged in the community. They're not engaged in the democratic process. They don't have a feeling of connection to the area, and that's really important. And that's what he was saying. My project, we don't want funding. What we want is support from the councillor.
Okay, let's allow
to engage with young people.
Let's allow candidate Ishaq to respond to that very quickly, please.
It's nice for the Tories to come here and say, basically, we want to do this and you're going to be doing this. Yet the Tories are the ones who did the cutback. Youth services have had a massive cutback because of the Tory-led council. Now we had NRF, that's gone. All we have is £100,000 to spend in the whole ward.
Yes.
That's thanks to the Tories.
Before the cutbacks, we had the same issues in Birmingham, the same issues in Sparkbrook with our young people. That means before the cutbacks, the money was still not being spent responsibly.
But the cutbacks don't help, do they? The cutbacks don't help, do they?
Well, it's about having social enterprises that are self-funding. If the current economy doesn't allow for loads of money to be spent out of nowhere, that's the reality, unless we believe in increasing taxes, which, by the way, Respect and Labour Party both agree with. When Labour controlled the council tax was increasing by 6% every year. If you think that's okay, and people don't mind, then yeah, perhaps we can go towards that. But I think that 6% increase in council tax every year, a direct burden on families, is not reasonable.
Popper Road, I received a leaflet from your thingy, and I was quite, kind of confused. How can you put a freeze, or is it a stop to petrol prices when the Prime Minister can't even do that?
Sorry, before we answer the question, can you just tell us who you are, please?
My name's Nasser. I'm a resident of Popper Road. I'm also a treasurer of Friends of Popper Road, the resident group here. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Can you explain that? I mean, do you think the people of Sparkbrook are stupid?
No, I don't think that.
I mean, how can you make a promise of putting a stop or freeze to petrol prices when the Prime Minister is having problems doing that? How can you do that?
No, absolutely. The Prime Minister is having a problem doing that. George Osborne did say in his speech that it's something they are prioritising.
Well, that's a national issue, not a local issue.
It's a national issue,
so
but it's affecting local businesses.
How is you a candidate? How are you going to do that? Because the local issues are environment, ASB as well, stuff like that. But this petrol, answer. Okay, I'd like it. Okay, sorry. Answer that one. How are you going to do that?
Petrol issues are affecting local businesses heavily. Local businesses create wealth for the local area. They are going to employ those young people that go and commit as those.
How are you going to stop the petrol?
How am I going to do it? I'm going to campaign for it. I'm going to ensure that it's on the priority of the council. I'm going to ensure that the council, when they are communicating with the government, they're not just saying, oh, cuts this, cuts that. They're actually getting something done. I'm going to move away from the blame game of it's his fault, it's her fault, and actually take responsibility on myself to do something for the local residents.
Nasa, we have another member of the community here wanting to ask some questions. I think of both candidates. It's not fair that we only have one candidate asking.
I'm no candidate.
You're a member of the public. Who are you, sir?
Horst, my name. I'm living here on Primrose Avenue.
Okay, and what was your question to the candidates?
Well,
comment even?
yeah. Well, like I said, I mean, I've been continuously phoning the council about the rubbish you can see in the back of the alleyway,
Yeah. And you've had no response.
Yes, I had a response, and the response was they asked me whether there were street lights, and I said no, there are no street lights, and the response was well, if there are no street lights, it's none of our business. Oh,
I see. I think it's because it's a private land and private areas.
Actually, it's not a private land. It's actually it's public highway and it's maintained by the public.
Well, if you give me details of your number and I can contact them on your behalf and find out what we can do about that going forward.
Thank you.
So if you please give me your number.
Yeah, no problem.
I'd be happy to do that.
But just in principle, I think that the point being made is why are we getting to the point where the only time we're seeing a response from the authority and from the services is when you're here, and the gentleman, the member of the public who pays his taxes, who's committed to the environment, who's keen to have a clean environment.
The issue is I'm not an elected councillor. Okay. Yes, bear that in mind, please. I'm not an elected councillor. I've not really. I mean, everyone here is treating me like I've been an elected official. I'm not. If you have issues, the main issues, you should be going through your ward and councillors. But of course, I'm happy to deal with yours either way.
I rang up the Birmingham City Council. What
you should do is go through your councillor. Your councillor is responsible for every local issue you have and every issue you have with the council. Absolutely, you don't see councillors. Where are they?
Candidate Sarah has committed herself to helping you in this court. Can I ask who are you, sir?
Adil Rashid.
And who do you
Liberal
represent?
Democrats.
Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing here?
Well, obviously I'm one of the candidates. I've been living in Sparkbrook over 30 years, and I'm part of the community of Sparkbrook.
Right. So what's your priority for this area?
Well, taking Sparkbrook out of deprivation for us.
And how do you think you're going to do that?
Well, it's by not electing Labour councillors.
So if we don't elect Labour, we'll take the department.
Provided we work for it. Because I mean we've had Labour rule here for so long. It's always been a deprived area.
So how will a new or a different coalition take us out of deprivation? What exactly will you be doing?
Well, if you've got a local resident.
Are you both of the same party?
No.
We're in coalition.
No, but I agree a lot. You know, and that's really important. Rather than playing the blame game, we should be working together as people who genuinely care.
Yeah, I was just saying, if you've got a local resident elected, somebody you can see on a day-to-day basis and not run away and never to be seen like some of Labour councillors.
No, it's not all about Labour. We've had respect councillors, they're local. I mean,
you
did answer the question. He asked you, what are you going to do?
What am I going to do?
Yeah, how are you going to make Sparkbrook better? Answer that question.
Well, if everybody's willing to work with me, like we're working today.
Yeah, but what are you going to say, everyone? Okay, what are you going to do?
Well, it's not a one-man job. Fine, I'll be elected.
I'm going to elect you as my councillor. I expect you to do something for me. What are you going to do?
What do you expect me to do for you?
What do you think I want you? You
I
should know
don't
what the people
You could
want.
have a different issue.
You should know what the people want. You tell me.
Exactly, I'm asking you. What do you
Environment, go on. What are you going to do different?
Well, we should have these.
You're not going to every day walk up the streets, are you? What are you going to do different? What are you going to do different?
I'm not elected. I live here. I walk up the streets every day.
If I elect you as a councillor, what are you going to do different? Answer that question.
Different?
Yes.
Well, first of all, I'll pick up your phones when you ring me and ask you what your problem is and not ignore. Right. Secondly, I'll hold surgeries. Thirdly, I'll knock on people's doors every so often to ask, is there anything I could help you with, and to let you know where I live and how to get hold of me. And then after that, one at a time, I'm willing to help people at Sparkbrook with different issues. You're right, we've had respect, we've had Labour. Why were anybody to be seen?
We need to make some sort of arrangement, at least to
bring awareness to the people who are making these flying tips or these creating rubbish in here, to keep it clean. But so far we are keep telephoning the council office, the responsible people, the engineers or the environment people, and they are giving us sweet talks on the phone, but in fact nothing happening. No action is taken. The other things we have is that building there. They cannot do anything with that building. It's lying down there empty for 2 years. All the rubbish, all that cloth people bring, if it's not goes in...
Who owns the building?
Private. And it's rented to these people, I think. And they are doing nothing to it. And it's bring a lot of rubbish, and young people come at night time or daytimes and having a...
Well, I frankly believe, I don't think that all the organisations in the community have been working effectively enough together for the last, 7 years. Also, I don't find it that surprising that when you phone up Fleeton Environmental Waste, you are given a very correct, I imagine, very professional service, but actually in terms of delivering, that's not happening. This is a Tory Lib Dem council who's been making cuts across the board, and until actually Labour returns to power in Birmingham, you won't see that investment in environmental services, fleet and waste management. You won't see it. There needs to be better containers for residents in these streets, especially the people of Sparkbrook. I mean, like nowhere else in the city, these are households often with 10 children in them. They want to recycle. It's a very big Islamic value, recycling. If you have 10 children, each drinking a pint of milk a day in plastic bottles, and you have a rubbish recycling collection for plastic bottles twice a week, think of how many bottles you're going to have to fit into just one of those small containers that Birmingham City Council provides. The people of Sparkbrook need effective and correctly sized waste containers, and I have no doubt that they'll be able to manage their own rubbish.
Well, who can we complain to? I mean,
you need to change the council to do with every community organisation working effectively together, and that means everyone, not just your councillors, every community organisation and every individual within it pooling together for the interests of that community.
This is my...
I'm delighted, but I really have to go. Okay, I did have an appointment at 2 o'clock.
I'm the... what's it called? We created
the Residents Association.
Resident Association.
Good, brilliant.
He's my secretary. He's the man
brilliant.
who keep ringing.
Keep
ringing. Try to invite the local people to work together with them. And nobody is bothering for this area at all. The youth people, there is no facilities for the youth. This man is working day and night voluntarily.
Sure.
Nobody bother for the youth of this area.
Oh well,
nobody
Tory Lib Dem
for
councillor / youth services across Birmingham. I totally agree with you. Really nice to meet you, but I do have to go.
Victoria, can you just tell us who you are for the camera, please?
I'm Victoria Quinn. I'm the Labour Party candidate for Sparkbrook. Thank you.
Sparkbrook Neighbourhood Forum invites you to family fun. Sparkbrook in Unity from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Sunday, 30th October at Farm Park, Sparkbrook, Birmingham. For more information, call 0121 772 1224.